Hello again, everyone. Edwin Lerner back once again. In this YouTube segment, I'm going to be giving a review of a pretty popular website many of you may heard of. It's Facebook.com. And first thing I want to get at with the Facebook review is that many of you may know this website is a global phenomenon, very exceptionally popular. It reached 1 trillion views. I think that was about 4 years ago. And really, this has been, as far as popularity, very exceptional. The thing about it is, Facebook.com has its good aspects and it has its bad, like everything else. Now, due to its popularity, I feel like Facebook has virtually made MySpace.com obsolete. I used to go on to MySpace fairly frequently, and I don't even know if I can remember the last time I went on that website. Facebook is just really, it has really escalated in popularity. According to Statista.com, I believe I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. It's Statista.com. Facebook had 1.35 billion active users for the third quarter of 2014. So that is pretty popular. Thing about Facebook is, let me start with the good things first, is that obviously we can rekindle old ties with Facebook. We can reunite with classmates, perhaps former close friends that we came out of contact with, that we thought the relationship was eradicated, and all of a sudden we can just reunite magically. There's a lot of things that are advantageous about this site, and really, if you think about it, it really, for the most part, it can be very good, it can be very beneficial. The site Classmates.com, I believe, costs something to join, and they try to encourage others to join, to meet up with your old classmates, so to speak, even if it's just in the virtual sense, where you could do it on Facebook for free. Now, Facebook has a lot of games on it. Now, this was according to a website, or I had seen on a Google search on 9/27/11 or September 27th, 11th. As of that date, Facebook had over 3,000 games. Now, it read 3,158. Now, maybe now it's closer to 4,000. I don't know the number at this point in time, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was at least close to that amount. And it also has a lot of groups that you can join. Now, Facebook has, I believe it was 620 million Facebook groups according to Quora.com, and there are just a lot of things you could do on there. Sometimes you don't have anyone to talk to, if you don't have like a really much of a social life outside the internet, it can be ideal for those people to interact, to be gregarious in their own way, even if it's in the virtual sense. Being able to talk with friends, send messages, joining groups with like-minded people. I've even joined a few astrology groups. I actually started one called YouTube Astrology. One of the negatives on this, though, is what bothers me, is that you have to spend $1 to send messages to some people. And Facebook, basically, it states that it's free, but really, in reality, it's not 100% free, and that's one reason. Another thing about Facebook is that my understanding is that it tracks browsing history, which obviously isn't good. I feel that this is intrusive, it's invasive. They do it in their own unobtrusive, discreet manner, but they still do it nonetheless. Now, Facebook states they don't track words typed in each they don't track the words that are typed in each box, or as far as messages go. But what's interesting is, as far as Facebook goes, I've had some times when I would send messages to people on Facebook, and what would happen is shortly thereafter I'd go to my regular email account, and I would get something in the subject header that would be similar or exactly the same what I wrote to somebody on Facebook. So I do believe there are some tracking things associated with Facebook, and it really, to me, that's what will prevent me from giving it. One of the main things which would prevent me from giving Facebook, say, 5 stars out of 5 possible stars. I mean, Facebook, I think it's still more beneficial than it is negative or detrimental to somebody, but it's at a point where you have to be really prudent and careful what you're writing on there. And funny thing is, you could take somebody, for example, that's having a clandestine relationship with somebody, and let's take somebody hypothetically having an extramarital affair. Now, let's say they type something into a message to their lover that they're having this affair with, right? Well, what could happen is, I believe, if Facebook, if they are tracking these messages, now there can be something from an advertiser that may get a hold of this information. And if that happens, well, let's say now hypothetically that one of those users, or the person that typed that message, gets something into their regular email, and even if it goes into the spam. Now let's say that person's significant other or marriage partner, what have you, happens to see it. Well, they're going to be in an S-load of trouble when they see it. So, I mean, really, it's at a point where on Facebook maybe virtually nothing's private anymore, and which kind of takes the fun out of Facebook. And don't get me wrong, that example with the extramarital thing, obviously it's something I don't condone, and I don't think that's anything that should be seen as fun, but you understand what I'm saying. If you're typing messages to friends, you want to talk about that really you feel should be private, it can be divulged and disclosed very easily, of course. And really, to me, that's something where I don't agree as far as Facebook goes, and I think a lot of other people would concur and share this thought with me. And really, and another thing too is that Facebook has eliminated, as far as gifts, sending gifts on there. The gift button is no longer on Facebook, and I used to really I love that. I was enamored with it because I used to like to send gifts to people, sending them gift cards to a store maybe that they like to shop at. And it facilitated things for me as far as giving somebody, say, a birthday or Christmas gift. And now I can't do it that way because of it, and it took a little bit of the fun out of Facebook for me. But I still go on it religiously. I still love the site. I interact with people very frequently, and as I stated before, I have a YouTube astrology group, and I've had loads of fun with that. But unfortunately, can't give it 5 stars because of the negatives that I have discussed in this video. Now, another thing is, though, you still can send people e-cards on Facebook. If you go to, say, 123greetings.com, you could send them the birthday cards, the e-cards that way, but you can't send them the gifts. Now, what I want to get at is that, I'm going off a little bit on tangent here, but you can, as far as things to perhaps combat or counteract the tracking that Facebook does, is that you can install, if you don't know this already, you can install something called AdBlock Plus and Do Not Track Me, and you can Google this, and I'm sure you could find the application to download. And another thing is, and I don't know if they've changed this recently, I don't know this number 100%, but the last time I checked, that Facebook had a limit of 5,000 friends that you could have, and I don't understand why they have this provision or this stipulation or what have you, but they do have it. So that's really, as far as the thing about Facebook, I think it still has more advantages than disadvantages, and people have obviously have not been deterred by the negatives that I've stated on it, but it's important to be cognizant and be aware of this and not be like a deer in headlights regarding things that are negative that are associated with this website, because it's not all positive. People on there help themselves gain exposure. You could put if you got videos on YouTube or whatever, you can link them on your Facebook wall. You get your friends to see them. You can even put the status on public so you can have other people that aren't your friends, Facebook friends, view them. So there are ways where this is really very strongly advantageous, but just be wary and cognizant of the negatives that are associated with this website. So anyway, as far as my final rating, what I'll give on this out of 5 stars, I give Facebook 3 stars out of 5, and that is pretty much it for my Facebook review. And people, until next time, Edwin Leonard saying, stay well.